Turning now to the war in Ukraine, where Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced he is replacing the general in charge of the operation after just 3 months on the job. The move comes as officials in Kyiv warn of a new major Russian offensive. NBC News foreign correspondent Matt Bradley joins us now from Kyiv with the very latest. Matt, good morning to you. The former commander was the first person to be put solely in charge of Russia's war efforts, but now he's out. Talk to us about that and what prompted the Russian president to replace him after such a short period of time.
Yeah, I mean, it's a really interesting development, and it's one that's kind of caught a lot of people by surprise, except for some of the top brass here in Kyiv. I was just speaking with an intelligence official, and, his first line when I asked him what he thought of this was, this just goes to show that this is a real war. This isn't the special military operation that Putin had been projecting from the beginning. And a lot of this is the direct result, according to this intelligence official here in Ukraine, of palace intrigue and infighting amongst the top brass at the very top levels of the war effort in Moscow. Basically, you saw Soledar, which I think we're going to get to in a second, a city in eastern Ukraine, which a private military contractor, a man named Yevgeny Prigozhin, claimed earlier this week to have entirely conquered from Ukraine on his own, with his own private army. Now, this is a man who has been vocally critical of Moscow and the Ministry of Defense in Moscow and sort of the standard regular army. He, of course, leads this private army made up very much of convicts who he's actually recruited from prison with promises of pardons. So this is a man that it sounds like a lot of people in the establishment, the military establishment in Moscow, would like to sideline. And according to military analysts outside of Ukraine and Ukrainian intelligence, that shakeup that we just saw, ditching a guy who has only been leading this war effort for 3 months, as you mentioned, is a direct result and a direct effort to try to sideline these critics of the Kremlin and people who are on the rise like Prigozhin.
And Matt, you mentioned Soledar, a battle which is now being called one of the bloodiest of the invasion. Yesterday, the president of Ukraine announced that the town had not been captured. So what's the latest there?
Yeah, that goes into exactly what I was just saying. We've been talking about Soledar for a couple of days now, and actually that battle in Soledar has really only been raging for a few days. The battle in Bakhmut next door, which is only about a 30-minute drive away, that's been going on for 6 months. It's one of the bloodiest battles of this war so far. Now, only a couple of days ago, Russian forces withdrew some from Bakhmut, repositioned them in Soledar, and tried to take the city. Every effort in that whole corridor has been led by Wagner Group, which again is led by this same shadowy character, Yevgeny Prigozhin, and he's the man who said that he had conquered single-handedly Soledar. Now, the Ukrainians say that they're still fighting in Soledar. We're seeing video from agencies showing fighting continuing in Soledar. And even the Ministry of Defense in Moscow has declined to really give a judgment either way. They have not confirmed, even though this would be a Russian victory, the first in about 6 months, they have still not confirmed that Soledar has fallen to Russian forces. So again, a lot of this goes back to infighting within the Kremlin, and we're just seeing sort of the tip of the iceberg of what is really a battle amongst the officialdom running the war from Moscow.
And Matt, we just have a few seconds here. If Russia does capture Soledar, it would mark the first gain for Russia in the area in months. Why is this so critical?
It would really just be a symbolic victory, because a lot of people are wondering, why are the Russians devoting so many troops to Soledar and Bakhmut? And then, of course, why are the Ukrainians defending it so fiercely? There have been huge losses on both sides. The fact of the matter is, a lot of people are saying this, and again, I hate to harp back to the same thing I've been saying, this is in many ways just a vanity project, a political ambition of this man Prigozhin and some of the other sort of non-regular military elements within Moscow's military establishment who are trying to climb up within the ranks. And guys, they're climbing on a lot of corpses in order to do so.
Matt Bradley joining us live from Kyiv. Matt, thank you.
Thanks for watching our YouTube channel. Follow today's top stories and breaking news by downloading the NBC News app.